Well, Logan, Utah with a beautiful backdrop. The mountains, the snow. It is all the perfect setup for a Mountain West showdown between the New Mexico Lobos and the 15 and 13 Utah State Aggies, in what should be a tremendous matchup as we round out the Mountain West slate here in the regular season. No Eagle, Casey Jacobson, glad to have you with us tonight. And Casey, if this is going to be anything like the first matchup between the two, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, New Mexico made 17 three-point shots in that first matchup. Jamal Mashburn Jr. had a career-high 29 points, Noah, but it still was not enough to win in overtime. The Lobos defensively have to figure out a way on the road to slow down Utah State's double-double machine, Justin Bean.
Well, we've got two coaches in the first year with their respective programs. Richard Pitino, he wasn't at the first game between these two teams back on January 8th. He was out with COVID, so he had to watch it painstakingly as his team gave up a 17-point lead and lost by 3 in overtime. Ryan Odom has done an excellent job of keeping his squad very even-keeled there in the midst of a 4-game losing streak, but even he said it, you would never know based on the feel of this team, based on the way they've handled themselves. It's been up and down with winning streaks, with losing streaks, but Odom and the Aggies are trying to finish the season strong with some momentum into the Mountain West tournament. Should be a great environment tonight as the Aggies are expected to get Brock Miller, their emotional, physical leader, back. And we are underway in Logan from the D. Glenn Smith Spectrum. Once again, Noah Eagle, Casey Jacobson with you. Our officials tonight, John Higgins, Paul Sells, and Kelly Pfeiffer. So it's New Mexico with the first possession. And Jalen House, Jamal Mashburn, the two to look out for as Singleton gets his first touch. Go back down on Bairstow inside. Put it back out, House, who has had a couple of big scoring performances this year, but he can't hit on the fadeaway.
And New Mexico is not a big team. They're not designed really to throw the ball inside a lot. They're going to play a lot of 5 out. Not a great start for them offensively.
Utah State can really pass the ball, but with the early turnover as Horvath got a little overzealous on the backdoor pass. And while the early drive from Singleton, he gets caught inside, and New Mexico, they can score the ball, but they give up points in bunches, and Utah State in every win this year has scored 70 or more. Really turn it right back over, 10 to shoot. House gets inside, dump it down, and the final cleanup goes down for Jay Allen Tovar.
If you allow Jalen House, number 10 in red, to live in the paint, you are playing with fire. He's small, but he's really crafty, creative, and knows how to draw fouls.
And Richard Pitino looking for a little bit more consistency out of his point guard, House, whose father Eddie had a long NBA career, including a championship. What a response. The corner tray from Stephen Ashworth.
He can be a difference maker, Ashworth. He's a shooter. 74% of his total shot attempts come from 3. He is hunting the line, and his teammates, if he has any airspace at all, know to get it to him.
Now, Ryan Odom said that when Utah State's been at their best, it's because Ashworth has done exactly the same as Singleton's off the mark from the outside. And here come the Aggies on the attack.
There's a couple X factors. Ashworth is one, certainly, and then Sean Bairstow, number 2, and then this guy as well, Horvath.
Brandon Horvath, 6'10", 210, but he's got a lot of skill as a transfer from UMBC under Ryan Odom.
No, he had been struggling too. That's a big shot not only for Utah State, but for Brandon Horvath individually. Only 2 for 14 from 3 in his last 3 games. A big man that can step out and shoot it.
Here's Mashburn on the take. Aggressive, but couldn't find the angle. Great defense as the Aggies will come back the other way. Idle Rock. There's that quick ball movement. They find the right guy. Justin Bean, the all-conference selection last year, putting together a masterful senior season.
He is so much fun to watch. He doesn't have bad games. However, he is coming off the first one of his senior season. Just 6 points on 3 of 10 shooting against Boise State. I expect Justin Bean to be early, aggressive, and looking for a bounce-back game.
Utah State 3 for 3 to start this game to open up the early 6-point lead, and a turnover. Bean on the steal. He's got nothing but hardwood in front for the slam. Richard Pitino calls the timeout. Utah State has come out of the gates firing. Justin Bean, 6'7", 210, and the senior from Moore, Oklahoma, making his presence felt early. Utah State up 8. Well, Justin Bean, this guy's done everything for this Utah State program over the last couple of years. Has started 28 games, every single one for the Aggies this year. He's shooting 55, 46, 80 splits, averaging 18 and nearly 10 rebounds per game. He's a monster in every facet of the game.
Yeah, look at the categories. He is clearly a top 3 or 4 player in the Mountain West. And this is a conference that is loaded with studs. You know, Graham Ike and Hunter Maldonado at Wyoming. You got Orlando Robinson at Fresno State. You got Sherfield and Cambridge at Nevada. And I'm like, we can keep going. Like, there's 10 dudes. But Justin Bean, statistically, though, Noah, deserves to be on that really, really short list.
Jalen House, runner doesn't go, and Utah State looking to continue the run here.
Nice.
Horvath. Too much space, too easy. Brandon Horvath.
There was a simple dribble handoff in transition, and Sebastian Forsling, the center for New Mexico, just not quick enough to deal with that situation.
Mashburn puts an end to the 12-0 Aggie run.
We talk about Justin Bean being a consistent scorer. How about Jamal Mashburn Jr.? I mean, consistency, to me, is what separates role players from stars.
Bean buries it. Keep feeding Bean, who's got 7 quick ones already after he had just 6 in the entire game against Boise State, a 68-57 loss a couple nights ago. House, extra feed inside into the game. Forsling for the first time. Get it out. Mashburn, another jumper.
It's inside-out basketball, and I believe that was Brandon Horvath. A big mistake, double-teaming Forsling, who's really not a scorer down low, and leaving the best shooter on the floor.
Ashworth left alone on the other side, and Utah State is 7 for 7 to start this game.
I mean, this isn't sustainable. However, we have seen Utah State throughout the course of this difficult season go off offensively. They have 6 guys who have scored 20 or more points.
Step back, comes up short. KJ Jenkins couldn't put it in, and can the Aggies remain perfect?
Well, the crowd is already blowing the roof off the Spectrum as Bairstow gets another one to go. And Brock Miller is at the scorer's table right now. Just wait for the ovation in our next dead ball. This place is going to go berserk.
Javante Johnson, hand it to House. Quick ball movement. Forsling gets rid of it. Jenkins back to Forsling inside, and he can't finish through the contact, but he will shoot 2 when we return. It has been all Aggies so far. They can do no wrong with a 13-point lead. They have yet to miss, and it's because easy opportunities like this one from Horvath. New Mexico had a lead in this game, 2-0, with 18:53 remaining in the first half. Since then, Utah State has only gone 8 for 8 from the floor.
I mean, ball movement is key to any offense, but this Utah State team is the best overall passing team in the Mountain West. 6 assists on 8 made field goals to start this one. The quality of the pass leads to the quality of the shot. And then it also helps if you get in the passing lane, you get an easy pick 6.
So a 20-5 run in just over 4 minutes of action. Let's not forget, this is an Aggies team that's coming off 4 consecutive losses at Wyoming, home against Nevada, at San Diego State, at Boise State. And this crowd responding to Brock Miller, the 6'5" senior, checking into the game for the first time and missed 14 straight games with a back injury, 15 overall, as Forsling goes to the line for New Mexico.
Really great to see Brock back out here. If you're not familiar with Utah State's Brock Miller, he's a 3-and-D guy, a veteran. It's his 5th year. He is a shooter. He's made 222 threes in his career.
And this is 115th career game. You gotta believe that they're gonna try to give him an open look here. Drive and kick back to Bean. Tough fade away. Comes up short. First miss of the game for the Aggies. Now let's see what New Mexico can do on the offensive end. We know that they are very capable of scoring. And the tough delivery falls off for Singleton. He gets it right back and puts it through.
This is what Saquon Singleton does. He is one of the 3 captains on the Lobos teams. A hard driver. He's a good passer as well, but his primary objective tonight is to try and guard Justin Bean.
And the Aggies pulling off just a tad, but a second chance gained by Ashworth. Bean bouncing inside of the cutting Jones. Extra feed. Perfect offense. Horvath, the beneficiary.
Notice how Ryland Jones bounced past that. If he would have made a chest pass or a shovel pass, it might have been too hot to handle. Instead, that bounce softened it up just enough for Horvath to finish.
Oh, Mashburn, what a move. Just can't cap it off. He is an excellent mid-range shooter, one of the best on the team for New Mexico. Richard Pitino is more than okay with Mashburn taking those mid-range pull-ups. Not necessarily everybody else, though, on the squad.
I would agree. I think Mashburn Jr. is one of the best mid-range shooters in the country, not just, you know, the Mountain West Conference. Jared Roden for Seton Hall is another guy that comes to mind for me.
Horvath, the fancy dribbling, can't finish, but he is fouled. They're going to call it on the floor as the Aggies, after an 8-for-8 start, have opened up a 13-point advantage.
We asked Richard Pitino, the head coach for New Mexico, besides Justin Bean, who's the most dangerous guy for you to guard? And you know who he said? Surprisingly to me, he said Brandon Horvath. A center that can pick and pop and also put the ball on the ground is a really tough assignment to ask our young, not very big Lobo team to defend.
Yeah, they're going to throw a couple different guys at both Bean and Horvath just to keep the look fresh and see if they can stifle them at all. Half the shot clock gone now for Ashworth on the outside. Get the screen from Zapala, who just checked into the game. Here's the first look from Miller.
You can feel the energy of the crowd. There's the, Nice.
Coast to coast, but the great defense, and Miller's got the loose ball, and he's fouled. It was Todd who took it all the way inside, deep into the teeth of the defense for the Aggies, and will be called for the personal as well.
Richard Pitino going deep into his bench. Karen Todd doesn't play a ton. He's from Ontario, Canada, but they're searching for options right now. Who can give them a spark off the bench before this game gets out of hand?
Ryland Jones. Just beautiful basketball on the offensive end for the Aggies here. Zapala inside against Forsling. The turn, the jump hook, and good defense by Forsling.
Notice there was no threat of a double team. They basically said, I dare you, Zapala, to beat us. Everybody else pretty much fanned out and denied three-point shooters.
This is the one area where New Mexico struggles, and Richard Pitino says is going to have to be something that's going to be corrected moving forward, as a trip's going to be called on Ashworth. They don't have that low post presence, and they could really use it right now, down by 13. Early first half action in Logan. It's been all Aggies. Well, Ryan Odom in his first year at Utah State, 15-13 so far, coming from UMBC, where in 2018, the impossible happened. Number 16 seed, defeating the number 1 overall seed, the Virginia Cavaliers. Only 16 to upset the 1. And we look at the Mountain West standings, it's just another reminder that anything can happen in March. And this Utah State team, look, they've lost 4 in a row, but there were moments this season where you said, wait a second, they can compete, they can beat anybody in this conference.
Yeah, they lost 4 in a row, then they won 5 in a row, and a couple of big wins in there, and now they're back to 4 in a row. You know, for Ryan Odom, taking over this Utah State program that went 20-9 last year and lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament to Texas Tech, he knew there was some real pressure. This is, you know, like immediately, this is an older team that is used to winning. And he has not run from that pressure at all. It's been a difficult season, but he came here from UMBC to play, or excuse me, to coach on a national stage. And that's what this Mountain West Conference has been this season.
House on the take. And the kick. Todd shoveled it inside, a little too hot for Alan Tovar and out of bounds.
Those interior passes are always difficult. I've played basketball at every level, and just because a big guy, you know, if you're a guard and you drive in the paint, just because a big guy's open, you have to take a little bit of steam off that or bounce past it, one of the two, to give him a chance.
Utah State 9 of 13 to start this game. Looks like another open look. There is the bounce inside. Get it back outside. Idle rock to Miller. And it off Bean. Everybody gets a touch with 7 to shoot. Jones on the attack. Great feed inside, and the finish for Zapala.
Defensively for the Lobos, the interior guys cannot help up. What does that mean? When a ball handler drives, you can't step up because then you expose the backside and you expose yourself to layups and dunks.
Nice cut, better defense. Zapala doing it on both ends.
If you help up instead of across, you're going to give up layups or dunks. That's Saquon Singleton. He's got to kind of stunt, be a quick help and then recover, or the weak side's got to be in tune to that. Help the helper.
Bairstow's back on the floor for the Aggies. Here's Idle Rock. Another transfer from UMBC. Nearly turns it over. Can they track it down? They cannot. Singleton got a hand on it, but it rolls out of bounds. It'll stay with Utah State with half the shot clock on.
Excellent pick and roll defense there from the Lobos. They tried to shrink Idle Rock's space and make him a shooter. He didn't want to shoot. He leaves the ground. He had nowhere to go. That should have been a pick off and a dunk at the other end.
Jones gets caught. Idle Rock. Kick it. Bean a corner tray. Oh, he nearly got the bounce. It just feels like one of those nights where everything's going to fall if you get it up on the rim, and then House is fouled in transition. This is the first of the final 2 regular season games at home for Utah State this week. And the other one coming up against Colorado State on Saturday before they go to San Jose State to finish out the regular season. As for New Mexico, coming off the loss to San Jose State, this is one of their final 4 as they go back home for Air Force at Fresno State and then home for UNLV to round out their regular season. Mashburn against Idle Rock. Mashburn, the step away Jay.
That's his game. That's, you know, again, you mentioned it, Noah. Sometimes that might be considered a bad shot for most players. That is an excellent shot that Jamal Mashburn Jr. can make on a regular basis.
And Casey, I think we're starting to see, it seems like Utah State exploiting that size difference, that size advantage that they have on the inside as they're putting House into that mid-post area and letting their bigger guards go to work.
Yeah, this is one of the smallest backcourts that you will find in all of college basketball. It's a problem. Richard Pitino knows it. And so instead, they have to make threes. This is not a team that's going to out-rebound a ton of teams in the Mountain West. They're not a team that's going to be able to throw the ball in the low post and have guys go to work. And we mentioned it off the top. This is the starting backcourt for last game. Now, KJ Jenkins came off the bench for this game. But look, 6 foot, 6'2", 6'2". That is tough. How do you make up for that? By bombing from threes. New Mexico made 17 in the first matchup, and it still wasn't enough.
Idle Rock can't get it to go. Zapala fights hard, second chance. And there may be a clock resetting issue.
Well, on an offensive rebound, the shot clock is only reset to 20, and it looked like it was to me. I'm not sure why the officials blew the whistle here.
Let's see, did the ball hit the rim here from Idle Rock? It did not, so it should not be resetting to 20. Instead, it should be a continuation of where it was at, and that is likely what the conversation is right now. Listen, for New Mexico, at 11-16 on the season, if they were to find a way to win this game tonight, currently down 15, although they were up 17 in the first matchup with these two teams, and Utah State made their way all the way back for the overtime victory. If the Lobos find a way to win this game, it would double their win total from a year ago. And in year one under Richard Pitino, you'd have to consider that a success, already a step in the right direction.
This rebuild is definitely already heading in the right direction, despite the fact that they've lost 16 games. Remember, New Mexico finished last season with a net ranking of 303. And tonight, coming into this one, they're 155th. And remember, no, they have a young roster. Look at Richard Pitino's track record. He is an expert. He's done this 3 times now and turning programs over. And you mentioned, like, look, if the Lobos, they only have 2 road wins this entire season, which, you know, like, that's not great, but one of them is against their in-state rival, New Mexico State, the other one at Air Force. If they win tonight, it'll be the most conference road wins they've had since 2018. Think about that.
That is a really impressive turnaround, and Utah State does not get that off in time as Bairstow got caught inside and will turn it over. But New Mexico giving up about 76 points per game on the season. Mentioned it earlier, but Utah State, when they score 70 or more, they have been outstanding, 15-4 on the season. Aggressive move to the rim and the finish for Taron Todd.
He has injected some life offensively and defensively. Taron Todd can also guard, 6'5" wing.
Horvath get it to the cutting Jones, and Idle Rock was fouled on the take. It'll be just the 4th team foul on New Mexico.
You will
trying to play.
You will not find a guard that spends more time on the floor. Let's take a look at Taron Todd's drive. You won't find a guard that spends more time on the deck than Rylan Jones. He falls down more times than you can believe. In the first matchup, he hurt his ankle, and then he got the wind knocked out of him. He's a tough kid, though.
And inbound for Horvath. Horvath to Jones. Step back, Jay. In and out. Crowd's ready to see some more jumpers go down as Utah State has missed their last 4 threes. Pump fake and drive. This was key in the first matchup, the ball movement for New Mexico as House comes up short on the J.
If you keep the ball on one side of the floor defensively, it's so much easier to guard. Even if you're guarding talented guys, you got to get a ball reversal.
Oh, what a take! Sean Bairstow cleared for takeoff. Utah State shooting 61% to start this game, and another steal. This time it was knocked away by Jones. Idle Rock fires.
The energy level is off the charts, offensively and defensively. Remember, Utah State started this game 8 for 8. But Sean Bairstow introducing himself to this game. Look out. His brother used to play for New Mexico. I think he's cheering for his brother tonight, though.
Sean Bairstow, the junior from Australia, capping off what has been an electric start for Utah State as they go up by 15, just under 8 to play. His brother, though, a New Mexico legend. Played with the Lobos, was an all-conference selection, drafted by the Chicago Bulls, 49th overall in 2014, currently playing with the Adelaide 36ers of the NBL back home in Australia. But I mean, when he was at New Mexico, he was just straight up a problem on the court.
Yeah, he and Alex Kirk were a problem. Last time New Mexico made an NCAA tournament was in 2014. That was Cam Bairstow's senior season. He and Kirk and Kendall Williams were awesome that year. They did lose to my alma mater, however, Noah, the Stanford Cardinal, in the first round of the 2014 NCAA tournament.
You feel good?
A little bit. Okay. All right. It's the last time that my alma mater won a tournament game. So, yeah, I feel pretty good about it.
That's fair. Great feed. Bean inside to Bairstow for the finish.
We talked about how good they are as a passing team. How about how good they are as a cutting team? Very rarely do you see any of the Aggies offensively stand and watch. Constant motion.
And Richard Pitino told us before the game that he really felt like transition defense was going to be a big key as Singleton gets an uncontested flush. And so far, Utah State has gotten out in transition. They've run the ball pretty well.
Both of these teams want to get out in transition, right? Nobody wants to just slog through a half-court game all the time. It's more important, to get some good defensive stops and then use the full 94 feet of the basketball floor.
Shuga dumps it for Horvath. Going right to work. Horvath with another deuce.
That's his favorite move. Even though he's a right-handed player, he loves to go middle in the post and has an excellent offhand finish.
Horvath, the game's leading scorer with those 9 points. Utah State shooting 62% from the floor. Deep one. Not this time from KJ Jenkins. Approaching 6 minutes to play here in the first half. Horvath, drive and kick. Idle Rock. Those two have a great chemistry from UMBC. Now in Logan. New Mexico get an easy one. Great feed outside. Jenkins all alone. Can't make the defense pay.
And even though that shot doesn't go in, that was excellent offense. And I've loved the aggressiveness of Saquon Singleton. To me, he's been the best facilitator. He's also one of their best defensive players. He's had a good night so far.
No look feed. This is just so much passing. Everybody gets an opportunity with the ball in their hand, but couldn't convert that time as Mashburn is fouled on the way up.
When every player on the floor, including your center, can shoot, pass, and put the ball on the deck, it really creates a problem for the defense. That time, the best time to go backdoor is when your teammate is dribbling at you, because it freezes the defensive player. They get caught ball watching. Bairstow gets the easy one.
Jamal Mashburn Jr., his father, Jamal Sr., played for Rick Pitino at Kentucky. And 12 years in the NBA, was an All-Star in 2003, an All-American in 1993, the SEC Player of the Year. And Junior is certainly making his dad proud. Just a sophomore coming over with Richard Pitino from Minnesota and averaging, as we chronicled earlier, nearly 18 points per game on 44% from the floor.
Yeah, he was fun to watch last year at Minnesota as a freshman. That Minnesota team finished 14 and 15 overall, but Mashburn had some moments. Averaged 8 points. And now this is his team. I mean, he and, of course, Jalen House as well.
Free ball again, this time short from the corner. Z Hamoda with his first run of the night. Hamoda coming off a game with 10 points in 20 minutes in the loss to Boise State.
You know you're old as a broadcaster when you have played against these guys' fathers. Yeah. I played against Jamal Mashburn in 2003, which was my rookie year. Jamal, of course, was an all-star. I was just a rookie trying to figure myself out. But then also Eddie House played against Eddie in the Pac-10 and in the NBA as well.
J. Allen Tovar with 2 more on the board. That's got to be surreal, though. It's got to be pretty crazy to really think about the full circle moment, to have 2 guys, NBA fathers, on the same team, and guys who played in the NBA around the same time. Eddie House winning a title in 2008 with Boston, as Bean just easily gets himself under the basket, and that might be the easiest deuce he's got all night.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about the NBA, and we were talking off air. If Justin Bean is on NBA general manager's radar, I believe he is. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a first-round pick. He might not even get drafted, but he will get a chance to prove himself at the next level, because I believe you watch Justin Bean play, his skills, the best things that he does, translate at the next level.
Utah State has had a couple of guys get some looks, and most recently Sam Merrill a couple of years ago, and drive from Horvath. At some point, the travel was going to come. Most recently, last year, Namish Keita, who has been with the Sacramento Kings a little bit this year, back and forth. He was a second-round pick and has proven his worth at times this season for the Kings. And so, could Justin Bean follow in the footsteps of his former teammates?
I think so. You mentioned Namish Keita. He was awesome defensively. He grew as when he first came to Utah State, he was raw offensively. Couldn't really throw him the ball on the block. He eventually developed into that, but defensively he was one of the best big guys, rim protectors in the country. They certainly have missed him there this year. Horvath is a good offensive player, but isn't nearly the shot blocker that Cato was.
House has been quiet so far. Gets a good look. But House has been hot and cold this season. I'm sure the numbers would tell you he's had dominant games, which he certainly has, but it is not necessarily what you're getting from him every single game, and that's what Richard Pitino feels needs to happen. He says when House is rolling, we feel good about our chances. When he's not, it is very difficult for New Mexico to find a way to win.
And he's got the ball in his hands all the time, too, he and Mashburn. So if they're not efficient, this team has a hard time scoring.
Bean found the cutting Shulga, who couldn't finish. A 5-on-4 if New Mexico hurries. Mashburn. And the Lobos 4, make it 1 of 8 from 3. And a blocking foul going to be called. So New Mexico just trying to find something on one end or the other. Right now it's been all Aggies with 3 minutes to play in this first half.
Still a fun game and a beautiful night here in Logan, Utah. Don't forget about that. Stay with us.
Coming up at the half, a thriller in the Big East between 8th-ranked Villanova and number 21 UConn went right down to the wire. Plus, 5th-ranked Kansas faces rival Kansas State. And a big-time Mountain West battle between San Diego State and Boise State. Knowing Casey, we'll see you at the half.
Utah State, Brandon Horvath, the transfer from UMBC, has had an excellent start to this game, leading all scorers with 9 points, but rolled his ankle in the last possession for the Aggies. Got it taped up during the timeout.
Yeah, just get it taped up, rub some dirt on it, and get back out there. Noah Horvath is, to me, a really nice surprise in the Mountain West, one of the best shooting centers. If I had to rate the top shooting centers in the Mountain West, Horvath, Orlando Robinson for Fresno State certainly would be on that list. And Will Baker, the 7-footer from Nevada, sometimes he's been a little inconsistent, a little streaky, but when he gets it going, the lefty can stroke it.
And we've already seen the pick and pop potential from Horvath tonight, as he's knocked down a few Jays and gotten himself inside as well. He'll stay on the bench after the timeout. It'll be Bairstow backing down on Singleton with 20 to shoot. Bairstow, just physical inside, will get himself to the free throw line.
I like the simplicity of that baseline out-of-bounds play. This is just a straight isolation. Inbound it to Bairstow. You got the matchup you want. You put him in the mix. That's not straight up. That's an easy call. I'm not sure what Saquon Singleton was trying to do there.
Bairstow, one of just a number of international players on this Utah State roster. Bairstow from Australia, RJ Idlerock from London, Shulga from the Ukraine, Zapala from Poland. List goes on and on and on. And you know, Ryan Odom was talking to us about it and said that he thinks it's great. They all kind of live together. They get along really well. They support each other, and they can share a lot of the experiences of being far from home together and going through this college basketball experience in a distant land, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's important. And it's a global game. It has been since 1891 when this beautiful game was invented.
Bean, the trailer.
Utah State, just the ball movement, right? Defense creating offense. Everything's been easy. Even the shots that the Aggies have missed have been relatively easy. Nothing has been easy for the Lobos on this end.
Mashburn. And that has been the other concern for New Mexico as a 5-on-4 developing for Utah State. Bean again. Gets the bounce.
Beautiful pass from Bairstow. He could have shot that three-pointer, but he had his head up, looking for a teammate.
Aggressive take. Todd will back it out. Todd attacking on Shulga. Couldn't squeeze it through. Being the board. Utah State looking to step on that gas. Ashworth to Bean. Outside, what a feed. Bairstow.
Look how fast Jalen House is with the ball. If there is a faster player with the ball in his hands in college basketball, I'd like to meet him. I think it's Jalen House. Incredible.
Alan Tovar lines it up and knocks it through.
I like J. Alan Tovar's game. 6'9" guy that can also shoot it. Just one of 4 Lobo players that is averaging double figures this year. He can get it going.
Nearly a steal for New Mexico, and it is. House looking up. Couldn't find Singleton. He'll take it himself. House the driving kick. Great take. Short on the finish, and the follow goes for Taryn Todd. The energy continues off the bench.
Yeah, that was a awesome, aggressive take, and I think his knee went into the side of Sean Bairstow. You see him holding it now. He's got his hands on his knees.
Bairstow making his way back to the Aggie bench. Another look right there.
Yeah, right when he initially went to launch, that knee, it was invert, nothing, you know, it was an accident. But a great take by Todd.
And Justin Bean starting to really exert his will on this game now. 13 points, 6 of 8 from the floor to go with 7 boards and 3 assists. He's Mr. Do-It-All for this Utah State team and continues to show why he is one of the best in the Mountain West.
His numbers are incredible this year. He had 23 points and 11 rebounds in the first matchup against New Mexico. It was an overtime game in which he played 43 minutes. The coach can't take him off the floor because he, like you said, does everything well. And when you have a big man, it is also your hardest worker in practice and a leader on and off the floor, and you got a chance to build like a really positive culture moving forward. And unfortunately for Ryan Odom, this guy is going to move on next year, and he's going to have to find another guy to take that torch.
Horvath, Idlerock, Bean, all seniors. Bairstow, a junior. It's an experienced team, as Richard Pitino called them, an older team. And it's allowed them to remain even-keeled during the ups and downs of this wacky season. But Utah State with an outstanding first half after falling down by as many as 17 just 22 seconds into the second half in the first meeting between these two teams on January 8th. Got a clock issue. 28.2 currently on the clock. Take a look right here. Shot goes down there at 36.1 or so, but the clock continued even with a timeout called. So you've got to figure this is going to be somewhere in the 35, 36 second range as opposed to 28. That's just what my math would tell me.
It's pretty good. I was told that we wouldn't be required to do live math on television tonight, Noah, so I'll let you handle that.
You want my abacus?
They didn't change it, though.
No, they did not. So the shot clock is turned off. And Utah State can hold for one. New Mexico, 1 point below their season low for points and a half, which was 22 coming in. Hamoda, get rid of it for Ashworth. Inside for Bean. The turnaround comes up short. 2 seconds left. Mashburn won't get it off. And Utah State with outstanding worth on both ends of the floor. 38 points on 53% shooting. They hold New Mexico to their lowest outpoint and a half this year at 21 and lead it by 17. It's halftime here in Logan. Stay tuned for the halftime report with Mike Hill as Utah State and New Mexico go to battle. End of the Mountain West season is upon us. Glad to have you with us on FS1.